So, just done a race for PRL Esports in the XCL CPG Championship in the Ferrari 296 GT3. I went rather well, so I thought I'd take you through the story of this race and how I went from P14 to P6 in this GT race in Assetto Corsa Competizione around Brands Hatch. This is qualifying for this race then, as we head into Paddock Hill Bend, the first corner, and we hit the brakes decently well, but we rolled the car down the hill in towards Druids, the hairpin, brake at the bridge, and then turn in. Try not eat that curb up, because you will lose the car and lose a lot of time as well. We're trying to keep that top left hand corner. We're trying to keep that green as much as we can, but if we go minus on our delta, that turns it green. If we go plus on our delta, that means we're in the red, which means we are going slower. But we come out of turn 4 into the downhill and then round the Grand Prix loop. We're currently a 10th up on our lap time at the moment, which would put us P15 with a 1 minute 25.4, but we are nearly 3/10 up on that time in the middle sector. We go over every curb we can as we head down into this section where we dab the brakes and then roll off very early, get on the throttle as early as possible, hit the grass and then brake for the penultimate corner. Careful through here because it's easy to get it wrong. Then into the final corner, you've just got to keep it neat and tidy to not lose too much time in your lap, and that's exactly what we do as we drive for the finish line of our qualifying lap. It will put us from P15 up to P14 with a 125.2, a very competent lap by us as we invalidate what would have been our last attempt. So yeah, decent qualifying, but we have some work to do in the race ahead of us. So we're starting the race here in Brands Hatch, and we get away decently well at the green flag, although there's a very ambitious Porsche behind us, and then this Ferrari comes out of nowhere and goes right into the side of us. But we survived without any damage, which was very lucky indeed. But we head into the Druids corner, the second corner on the track, around the hairpin. We go inside the car with myself so you can see what I was seeing at the time. But we get ahead of that purple McLaren heading around the Graham Hill corner at turn 3. We just hang around the outside. Now we have a aqua coloured McLaren in front of us. So we have two McLarens, one behind, one in front. And we're just trying to get into a rhythm now, as are the other drivers. We're all just trying to find our groove, find the consistency around this track so that we can settle in and provide some decent lap times that will set us up well for later on in the race. But as we head through the fast kink, there was a lot of dirt. I thought I was at a speedway event for one sec with the amount of dirt being kicked up. But we head back inside the car with myself, and the reason you're inside the car with me is because I try a move on the inside here, go over the grass, and then I think better of it as I can see a crash happening. We nearly spin as we try and get the car stopped for the uphill corner, but we just manage to survive as we have the red and white Porsche of Papa Dot heading round the Paddock Hill Bend behind the Sky Sports Ferrari, who goes wide, and that lets the Porsche down the inside and up a position, the 93 Porsche ahead of the Sky Sports Ferrari, as the 98 Ferrari falling behind the Porsche. Now he's got the Lexus for company, the Switzerland Lexus, as meanwhile we have ourselves in the PRL Ferrari trying to catch up to the 89 McLaren in front of us. We try moving to turn 1 and we nearly run into the back of him, and we are very lucky that we didn't just completely wipe him out, as that would have been very nasty indeed. As we go over the gravel at turn 1, that loses us a lot of time, and now we have to try and gain that back on the McLaren as we head out of the Druids corner. Meanwhile, further up the field, we have Football Sam up against Aussie War in the 222 Ferrari in front of this BMW, and we're watching this because look, the Ferrari goes off, and no matter how hard he tries, he can't resist the spin, and he ends up facing the wrong way on the penultimate corner, which is a shame for the 222 Ferrari. It looked very competitive at the start there, I have to say so myself, but the BMW has gone through. As meanwhile, back to our race then, we're down in P11, still trying to get ahead of this McLaren, who finally makes a mistake, and we try and make a move on the outside of turn 4. The McLaren concedes as long as we can hang it around the outside, which we are able to do. So we are now up into P10, which is a good start from P14, 5 laps into this race. Now we have the Sky Sports Ferrari. He let the Porsche through last time round, now he's going to let the Switzerland Lexus through as round the outside for the 37 Lexus, should I say, as the 96 Ferrari tries to fend him off. The 98 Ferrari, should I say. Apologies for the mistake there, but the Sky Sports Ferrari ahead of the Switzerland Lexus, which is going to help his race out a bit more. As we head down the straight here with the 222 Ferrari, who is trying to recover from the earlier spin. He's chasing after the Ford Mustang, heading round this fast right-hander, but he spins yet again and ends up backing the car into the wall heavily and damaging the car very severely, and he ends up back in the pits, and now we go by him as the McLaren behind us also hits the wall very hard and damages the car beyond repair for a couple of laps, which is a shame for the McLaren, who was having such a good race up until that point. As meanwhile, it's two Ferraris having a battle here. We have the 223 entry, or the 323 entry, should I say, against the 98 Sky Sports Ferrari, who has had a very eventful race so far, battling in the sharp end of the field, but he is just able to stay ahead of the 323 Ferrari behind him, the blue and orange Ferrari, who can't get ahead of the Sky Sports Ferrari in front of him. Meanwhile, in our Ferrari, we're catching up to the purple McLaren, who is named Ferrari, which is quite nice indeed, as we also have a Porsche behind us. In that rear view mirror, in the top, you can see the green Porsche right behind us, and this puts ourselves in a position of playing the hunter and the hunted, as we are trying to hunt that purple McLaren, but we are also being hunted by that green Porsche, and this really does put a lot of pressure on us not to make a mistake, not to brake too early, but also not to brake too late as well. As the McLaren here makes a mistake, we try and make a move on the inside of the Graham Hill bend, and we just about make it. The McLaren, I'm surprised, as he gave us the room to make this move into turn 4, but I feel like this was preempted now after watching it back, because have a look at this. He cuts right back underneath us at turn 4 and then has that power and momentum to get right ahead of us into the fast driver's right-hander, as we have to now tuck in behind the McLaren for this middle sector as we ride back on board with ourselves, heading round here in the PRL Ferrari. So it's a battle between McLaren, Porsche and Ferrari. We nearly run into the back of the McLaren. That's the second time we've nearly run into the back of a McLaren in this race. We head into the penultimate corner. We are very close to the back of this McLaren, also almost pushing him out of the corner as we head into the final corner of this lap, here on lap 9 of this 1 hour race, with just under 47 minutes to go, as the Porsche behind us now is going to have a run, as we left ourselves vulnerable at the final corner, and now we just hold off the McLaren, and in doing so we go on the inside of the McLaren, who leaves us just a bit of a gap but doesn't concede the place fully yet, as we now head around the Druids hairpin, and he does make a mistake. He does have a bad run out the corner. We try and hang around the outside, but again the McLaren brakes later, block passes us, which nearly makes us vulnerable to the Porsche behind, because look at this, down the inside he goes, but no, he's not going to make the move stick on that occasion. As we head now out of turn 4, he nearly pushes us off of the track. very close stuff with this McLaren. I have to praise his racecraft because he is having a great battle with us right now. Very clean, but very on the edge. Is now heading into these next few corners, but you really can't have battles like this unless someone knows what they're doing, so more power to him as we head into the uphill corner. Then we're going to go side by side. This will be tough. We just about avoid contact, but he's on the grass. Where's he going to rejoin? Oh, he hits the wall and he goes flying. Incredible. Let's get a replay on that one. He hits the wall and just careers off to the other side of the track. There's only one picture I can think of that can sum up this moment. Anyway, we head on to lap 10 as we head into the penultimate corner of this lap as the 93 Porsche of Poppadot. We haven't spoke about him in a while, but he is now being passed by the Switzerland Lexus, who goes around the outside of the Porsche momentarily. But Poppadot tries to come back at him on the inside, heading into Paddock Hill Bend, which is turn 1, and this is where the Lexus would get ahead of the Porsche, and the Porsche has to settle in behind, heading through the middle sector here on lap 12, but the Lexus goes a bit wide here and now concedes the place to the Porsche after going over the grass in the middle sector in the Grand Prix loop. But heading into the final 2 corners on the track, the Lexus falls back behind the 93 Porsche. There's a bit more dust being kicked up by the BMW in front. Meanwhile, 20 minutes into the race, Joe has come into the pits to serve his pit stop, and a quick reminder that every car in this race has to pit at least once, so all 20 cars have to make at least one pit stop to refuel at least 1 litre of fuel. As Joe pitting earlier than usual. Normally Joe pits at the half-an-hour marker of this 1-hour race, but Joe has decided to come into the pits 20 minutes into his first stint to have a really long second stint. So it is a 1 stop, but it is a really long second stint that he is going to have to do here. So he's looking to pull an undercut on the people who were behind him before. So he was P8 before he made this pit stop. Now he's P15. But over the next 20 minutes, he's hoping that he can undercut his way back up into P8 so that he can be fighting for that position come the end of the race. But will it work? Well, that's yet to be seen. So we'll catch up with that later on in the race. But meanwhile, we have the green and black McLaren looking like an Xbox logo, and he's now behind the white and red Porsche of Poppadot as we head into the fast right-hander. Ignore the desync there. You did see the pit lane, but that was just a bit of desync within the game. Ignore that, as now rounds on the grass there for Poppadot. That is going to cost him a bit of time, but it doesn't cost him the position as of yet. Meanwhile, someone who's right off on the grass and into the wall is the Sky Sports Ferrari, who was running very well ahead of that blue and orange Ferrari, but is now behind the purple and orange McLaren, who tries to have a move on the inside of the 323 Ferrari, but he doesn't make it stick at all. But that's a bit of damage there that is being carried on the Sky Ferrari. So a bit of a shame for him, but great stuff for the McLaren, who's making a comeback after his off earlier. Meanwhile, here we are again, should I say, in the PRL Ferrari, trying to make up lap time as one of the McLarens, the James Baldwin Garage 59 cars, they've gone off, and now we're going to go around the outside. And that is a shame for him. He might have overheated tyres because he only spun a corner before that spin. So yeah, a tricky time there for the McLaren, it has to be said, as we head through with the silver Ferrari. We haven't seen this Ferrari yet in this race, I don't think, but the number 16 car putting on a show that Charles Leclerc would be happy with, I have to say so myself. Charles Leclerc, who is in Formula 1 with the number 16, hence the relation to this Ferrari. He's trying to catch the BMW in front of him, but these two, I think they pit quite early on in the race. Not as early as, I think around the same time as Joe. Maybe not as early, but maybe a lap or two later. But they did come out ahead of him, as they are very competitive cars indeed. As here's the Mustang then, he comes out behind the two McLarens and the Porsche that Joe was fighting with earlier. So, but this Mustang, he's been fighting towards the front, I believe, for most of this race, as that silver Ferrari is trying to catch up to him. But these three cars in front of this Mustang are all people who haven't pit yet, but they have to pit, but they're not pitting yet, and that might cost them to ourselves later in the PRL car. Meanwhile, two Ferraris battling. Both of them have had incidents in the race. The blue and red one now trying to hold off the Sky Sports car. They're both on a comeback, and the Sky Sports Ferrari making a better comeback at the moment as he gets ahead of the 33 Ferrari at the moment. But the 98 car heads into turn 4 ahead of the blue, red and white number 33 Ferrari. Meanwhile, on board with Joe, and look, his undercut is working because he's now in 10th. Make that P9 as he overtakes the, I believe that was, the number 12 Ferrari. He overtakes him when the Ferrari was in the pits. So a nice move there by Joe to get up into P9, and now he does the same thing to get up into P8. So these drivers who are having to make their mandatory pit stops are coming up behind Joe, who made his pit stop very early on. And one of those drivers was Popadar, who lost a lot of time to his strategy there. He probably should have pit a bit earlier, but someone who was fighting up the front earlier on is now down with Joe in P8 and P9. Meanwhile, here's the Ford Mustang, who's trying to get ahead of the purple McLaren. So here on lap 25, the McLaren goes a bit wide over the dirt, and that lets the Ford Mustang number 25 through. And that's not the only one, because look at the silver Ferrari in the background, who's going to go all the way around the outside of this 50-mile-an-hour corner. Incredible stuff by the silver Ferrari. Massive praise to him for that move. As here's Popadar, he did get ahead of Joe with his fresher tyres, but it looked like he lost a bit of pace after he got ahead of me. Because look, he is struggling for pace. Now we are catching right up to the back of this Porsche with 8 minutes to go in the race. We go to the inside of Paddock Hill Bend, and we just send it under braking and make the move stick as Popadar goes a bit wide over the gravel there, and he lost a bit of pace, but he was able to regain it as he was right on the back of us for a lap or two. And yeah, he is really giving us a hard time now as we are not on, it's about tyres, so he's probably got a better setup as I'm on the default preset setup that the game gives you. He's on a custom setup that's probably quicker than mine, as well as the fact that he's probably been able to put temperature back into his tyres and back into his brakes. That will have helped him out a massive lot. So we head through the kink and into the Grand Prix loop, but look how close he is in our rear view mirror at the top of the screen here. But we head into the Druids corner. Look how close he's getting. It's so nip and tuck, and he's not leaving us any room for error. But as we head into turn 3, that is such a shame, as I'm kind of, it's a shame that he wasn't able to battle us for longer, but it did mean we were able to cruise to a P6 finish. Now, these are two back markers, the number 33 Ferrari as well as another Ferrari. I think this was the 98 Ferrari, it is. Well, we head into the second to last corner, but I just decided to kind of brake and not really pressure them into letting me through, because I didn't want to end up in a needless crash at the end of the race. So I just kind of let them do their thing, gave them a bit of space to finish the race safely. So we head over the finish line, and we go from P14 to P6 with probably one of the most aggressive strategies I've ever done in sim racing, and a very decent finish for PRL Esports in the CPG Championship in Brands Hatch. I think that's probably one of my best results in Assetto Corsa Competizione, and it's something that I really hope to build from. So yeah, thank you again to CPG and XEL for the race. It was a great race to be a part of, and I'll see you all next time. And before I go, I just want to let you all know again about the Tregrain Hill Climb, which I'll be commentating at on the 13th and 14th of June, as it will be a great event full of many incredible cars. So I hope to see some of you there for that St Austell event in Cornwall. So that's all from me, so I'll see you all in another video. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye.